Get some coffee, everybody. Get some coffee. Everybody, calm down. Could the blood moon bring enough gravitational pull with Mars converging and all the planets on one side? Could this cause the California big one, the big quake? Well, I don't think so, but there is reports today coming out right now because of this over at the Sun that a cluster of 11 earthquakes off the California coast recently has sparked fears that the big one could hit at any time, devastating the western portion of the United States. Now, the west coast of the U.S. has seen a flurry of activity in the last 7 days, with 11, I repeat, 11 offshore earthquakes on the right on the Cascadia fault line, all right, in the Cascadia subduction zone. And because of those quakes and the timing of the blood moon, you can understand why there's some apprehension in the northern part of California and also the state of Oregon and even Washington state. Now, this cluster of earthquakes off the California coast might mean the big one could strike at any time, devastating the west coast of the United States. And listen, folks, you got 7 million people in that area if the big one, 7.0 or more, happens. Well, there is a guy out there who's actually predicting that the blood moon is going to cause, or he believes high probability it will cause a 7.0 or higher during the blood moon, and his name is Frank Hoogerbeets. Frank Hoogerbeets, who is predicting it's possible. Now, that doesn't mean he's predicting it will, but it sounds like he's very, very nervous about it. 7.0 or higher. The big one we've heard about forever refers to a large-scale earthquake on the Cascadia subduction zone, which could rip through the California and west coast of the United States in mere minutes and cause a massive tsunami. Seismologists have said a large magnitude earthquake offshore fault could trigger a 9.0. What? 9.0 magnitude earthquake with a massive tsunami. The recent cluster of earthquakes ranging from 2.8 to a 5.6 magnitude earthquake occurred 6 miles underwater, very shallow, and only 126 miles from the west coast, right there in the Cascadia subduction zone that runs from Northern California to British Columbia. Now, Don Blakeman, a geophysicist at the National Earthquake Information Center, told Oregon Live the magnitudes haven't yet been serious, adding that the quakes of this caliber occur fairly often. But now that 5.6 did get their attention. Though the largest quake of 5.6 magnitude happened shortly before 8 a.m. local time Tuesday morning and qualified as a moderate earthquake, the impacts would be more significant if it had occurred on land rather than 10 kilometers under the sea or 6 miles under the sea. And that saved them. Okay? And now we all know about the Cascadia earthquake sources and the different fault lines. And while the United States Geological Survey has not issued a warning over the recent shakes, but there has been numerous reports periodically stating the concerns, of course, of Cascadia, stating that they do not pose a risk of a tsunami yet. In 2016, it was reported that if the Cascadia were to have a large-scale quake, the resulting tsunami would kill more than 11,000 people just instantly, okay? And probably heard another 26,000. That's a very minor estimate. We've seen estimates ranging almost 7 figures. Certainly, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or also known as FEMA, is warning. Now, Chris Goldfinger, a professor of geophysicist at Oregon State University, told CNN Cascadia can make an earthquake almost 30 times more energetic than, let's say, the San Andreas Fault. And then it can generate a tsunami of biblical proportions, folks. He said, though, he didn't say that, I did, at the same time, which the side-by-side motion of the San Andreas couldn't do that. So this Cascadia fault line, the Cascadia subduction zone, much more dangerous than even San Andreas. But San Andreas runs right through the middle of a massive population. So you don't need a tsunami. A magnitude earthquake of, let's say, 9 is bad enough, okay? Now, describing what would happen during a quake, he said in this case, 3 minutes is an eternity. It is very, very long time. We'll lose a lot of bridges. We'll lose our highway routes. The coast will probably be closed by downed bridges or landslides or both. And he warned that there's no way you can of predicting the Cascadia's next big one. I wish there were, but no, there isn't. We can't look forward and say we are due to overdue reality. Now, Cascadia's last quake was, of course, January 26, 1700. This thing is overdue, way overdue, with an estimated moment magnitude somewhere between 8.7 and 9.2. And it involved a massive quake, of course. The length of the fault rupture was approximately 620 miles. It caused a tsunami which struck the coast of Japan. So, and seriously, a massive tsunami. So that's where we're at right now. It's incredible what's going on. But we certainly realize that with the pressures building on this blood moon, and I want to say hi to everybody that I decided to go live with this video. Of course, Mark Biltz. Pastor Mark Biltz will be joining us today. This should be a powerful broadcast today. Of course, he is the originator of the 4 blood moon tetrad back in 2014 and 2015. And he recognizes that tomorrow's blood moon, the longest blood moon of the century, in the 70th year of Israel being a nation, in the very year that Jerusalem was declared the capital city of Israel, the eternal city of God, and the fact that the United States moved its embassy to Jerusalem on the very day of the celebration of the 70th anniversary of Israel. And with Mars drawing close, will be its closest proximity to our planet in 15 years on that same very night, and the closest it's been to us and second closest in 60,000 years. It would behoove us, I think, to be alert, to be ready, to recognize that just about anything could happen due to the heavy gravitational pull on the planet. Especially you throw in the fact that all the other planets are all on one side of the sun. Are you serious? This is the perfect storm, the conversion, just the convergence of all these events. Throw in the fact that Israel were shooting down Syrian jets and dealing with rockets flying at them from Hamas out of Gaza, and the threat of war constantly from the Iranians and even Hezbollah of southern Lebanon, and the hatred for Israel from the Muslim Brotherhood, and the pressure that's building over the Temple Mount, which is certainly the epicenter of the apocalypse, where all 3 major religions of the world are converging. You put all this together in a simultaneous basket, recognizing that the fault lines all over the world. Listen, America, Cascadia fault line, overdue. It hasn't, like it said, January 26th, the year 1700. Saw an earthquake of somewhere between 8.7 and 9.2, sending a massive tsunami all the way to Japan. And how long's it been for San Andreas fault line? Overdue! And then there's the New Madrid fault line. It hasn't had a massive earthquake since 1811 and 1812. Overdue! So all of these areas. And then don't forget the super volcano in Yellowstone National Park. I don't even want to bring that one up. So put it all together, guys, there's a lot of pressure building. But California, there's an article today, right now, saying that these 11 earthquake cluster that was off the coast of Oregon is a concern, I guess it should be. We're living in the last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Again, today, our guest, Pastor Mark Biltz from El Shaddai Ministries out of Washington State. Pastor Mark Biltz will come on as an expert in Bible prophecy to help us get a clear, a more better understanding at the prophetic revelations in the Word. You know, the Bible tells us that in the book of Joel, it said that the Lord was going to send major signs in the heavens. Matter of fact, Jesus said in Luke 21, "For there shall be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and distress of nations with perplexity, the sea, the waves roaring." Men's hearts would fail them for fear, for looking after those things that are coming upon the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Don't mention Planet X, but Jesus is going to shake the heavens one way or another. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When those things begin to come to pass, he said, "Look up, lift up your head, your redemption drawing nigh." Matter of fact, I want to give you the scripture to finish this video and broadcast in Joel chapter 2. "And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord should come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord has said, and in the remnant who the Lord hath called." I noticed this morning there's a couple articles out. One in the Russia Today is covering the blood moon and quoted me. And then also the Boston Herald also was talking about the blood moon, and they were quoting me. But both of them were kind of, I think they misunderstood. I think both of them thought that I had said something about tomorrow's the end of the world. I think that's what was the impression they got, but that's, of course, incorrect. And let me be quite clear as I close this. Tomorrow is not the end of the world. I repeat, it is not the end of the world. But certainly tomorrow's longest blood moon of the century is a prophetic sign that we are in the era of the apocalypse, the end of the age. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Yes, he is coming soon, whether you're ready or not. You know, my dad had a church he built called the Blue Sea Baptist Church. He built this church with his own hands, with volunteers, back in 1976. And up at the pulpit area, he had a big, beautiful picture on the wall. And above it was this saying, "Ready or not, here I come." Well, we're a lot closer today than we were in 1976. Are you serious? I'll see you guys live at 12 noon Eastern right here on this YouTube channel and also on new live stream, Periscope, Roku satellite television, my website at paulbegleyprophecy.com, direct radio line, and on this YouTube channel. I'll be right back. Are you serious?